Imagine locking 80 of the world's most powerful cybersecurity executives in a room on the Las Vegas Strip.
Which, honestly, sounds like a logistical nightmare to begin with.
Oh, absolutely. But imagine you get them in there, and then you confiscate their slide decks. You ban those invasive little badge scanners everyone hates.
Right.
And instead of forcing them to sit through another boring keynote presentation, you just hand them a stack of playing cards.
It is entirely
It
counterintuitive.
really is. Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we are looking at a stack of internal strategy documents, event blueprints, and platform manuals from the Cyber AdX network.
Yeah, they are the marketing and events arm of the whole CISO marketplace ecosystem.
Exactly. And they are gearing up for the official debut of an entirely new kind of industry gathering. It's called CISO.POKER.
And if you look at the blueprint we are examining, it outlines their inaugural flagship event. It's called the Stack.
Right, the stack.
Yeah, and it is scheduled for Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. So it's dropping right into the middle of Hacker Summer Camp.
Which is brilliant timing if you think about it.
Oh, it really is. That specific Wednesday is like the critical gap night. So Black Hat Day 1 briefings are wrapping up. B-Sides is finishing its half-day session. And DEFCON 34 doesn't even open its doors until Thursday morning.
So you have this rare window.
Exactly. Nearly every major chief information security officer is physically in town, but without a massive, competing keynote demanding their attention.
But, I mean, the logistics of getting that specific demographic into one room are notoriously difficult. Which brings me to the core mechanic outlined in these documents.
The game itself.
Yeah, the game. It is an invite-only Texas Hold'em championship for 80 vetted executives. But the sources repeat this constantly. It is a zero buy-in event.
Totally free entry.
Completely free. No money is exchanging hands whatsoever. None.
And that $0 structure is what legally distinguishes the event. But from a behavioral standpoint, it completely alters the psychology of the room.
How so?
Well, we treat modern professional connection as this, industrialized numbers game, right?
Oh, yeah. Like how many badges can a sales rep scan?
Exactly. How many automated follow-up emails can be triggered? But the strategy here relies on what the organizers term focused decompression.
Okay, but I am looking at the zero buy-in rule, and I am really stuck on the incentive structure.
Sure.
Because if I don't pay to sit down, I have absolutely no skin in the game. My immediate assumption is this just devolves into another generic sponsored open bar.
You show up, get a drink.
Right, you grab a free drink, talk to the 3 people you already know, and leave after 20 minutes to grab dinner. How does this not fall apart instantly?
Well, it would fall apart if it were structured like a traditional mixer. But the mechanics of a poker tournament act as this behavioral Chinese finger trap.
A Chinese finger trap.
Yeah. The more you try to treat it like a typical networking event, scanning the room for an exit, looking for a quick transactional conversation, the more awkward it gets.
Oh, I see.
You are literally forced to relax into the structure of the blinds and the chips. The documents explicitly note that the most candid conversations in cybersecurity occur when the defensive wall drops.
Because you're playing a game.
Right. A poker tournament forces presence. You cannot be, drafting an email on your phone while actively trying to read the body language of the person across from you.
You are totally anchored by the flow of the game. It's like an escape room for executives.
That's a great way to put it. You're locked in by the rules.
But taking away the buy-in removes the traditional financial jeopardy of poker. To keep executives glued to the felt for 3 hours, you need actual stakes.
Yes, and the documents show they replace cash with donated enterprise-grade prizes from corporate sponsors.
And we are not talking about water bottles or branded fleece vests here.
No, definitely not. The grand prize for the final table winner is designated the Stack.
Hence the event name.
Exactly. It's a massive coalition package of donated enterprise product access. This involves fully legitimate one-year licenses, proof of concepts, and offensive security reviews.
Wow.
Corporate sponsors donate packages covering identity protection, AI security, zero trust networks. These are the underlying tools a CISO usually spends months battling a procurement department to acquire.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. The pacing of those stakes is what catches my eye. They use a mechanic called mystery knockout bempties.
Which is so clever.
Because in a standard tournament, if you catch a terrible run of cards early on, You just mentally check out. You know you aren't making the final table.
Right, you just fold and wait to lose.
But with this bounty system, every single hand retains tension. If you eliminate another player, you immediately draw a sealed envelope right at the table.
And that continuous adrenaline injection completely prevents the mid-tournament lull.
Yeah.
The knockout mechanic guarantees that even a short-stack player is deeply invested in the outcome of the current hand.
Because they could still win something huge just by knocking someone out.
Exactly. And the corporate prizes hidden in those sealed envelopes range from 3D printers and hardware accessories to entirely custom AI-generated cybersecurity policy packs.
So every elimination creates this unpredictable, high-energy moment for the table.
It fundamentally changes the game theory. You might call a bet you normally wouldn't, just to chase that mystery envelope.
Right. And the players chasing those envelopes aren't exclusively corporate executives. The blueprints reveal they are mixing actual working World Series of poker circuit professionals into the tables. They call it the pro spectrum.
Which is wild. Bringing in working professionals elevates the atmosphere from a corporate icebreaker to a legitimate competition.
Yeah, and the business model behind those pros is particularly clever. They are sponsored in a NASCAR-style arrangement.
But not by cybersecurity companies,
Right, by non-cyber brands. Think about it. A room of 80 top-tier CISOs represents an incredibly concentrated demographic.
Highly targeted.
These are individuals who travel constantly and control significant discretionary income. So premium luggage brands, luxury watchmakers, or high-end spirits sponsor a pro.
Oh, that makes sense.
They integrate their brand into the pro's apparel and the surrounding content, gaining direct visibility without needing to pretend they sell network firewalls.
Which leaves the actual cybersecurity vendors sponsoring the event operating under a completely different paradigm.
How so?
Well, they are explicitly forbidden from pitching products or collecting lead lists.
Banned entirely.
Banned. Instead, the strategy document refers to them as useful neighbors at the table.
I love that phrase.
Yeah, they're securing the opportunity to sit next to an executive, play a hand of cards, and establish a human baseline before any corporate conversation ever happens.
So for any corporate sponsor trying to visualize how this operates, a completely free entry environment where presence replaces the pitch and no money exchanges hands at the event itself, the Event Hub breaks down the mechanics.
It does.
You can actually visit CISO.POKER sponsor to examine how these donated prize structures are integrated.
And that model solves the presence problem for sponsors perfectly. But capturing attention is merely the first step.
Right.
Extracting actionable data from a room full of highly guarded security executives is a much more complex challenge, especially when traditional lead scanning is banned.
Which brings us to the intelligence operation running silently in the background. Hacker Summer Camp 2026 serves as the official debut of Felt IQ.
Yes.
The documents describe it as an anonymous, real-time intelligence gathering system built specifically for the Felt.
What's fascinating here is that traditional market research in the cybersecurity sector is fundamentally broken.
Oh, completely.
Analysts deploy these massive online surveys, they battle extreme survey fatigue, and then they wait months for the results.
And by the time a report is published, the data often just reflects carefully filtered corporate messaging rather than the actual ground truth.
Exactly. FeltEQ circumvents this entirely by embedding frictionless tablet kiosks into the natural downtime of the environment.
So, like, where exactly?
At the check-in desk, on the poker tables themselves, and near the food stations.
It is a brilliant workaround for survey fatigue. You capture the data in those micro moments.
Right, while the dealer is shuffling the deck, or you are waiting for a drink.
You lean over, tap a screen for 15 to 30 seconds, and you are done. The blueprints show a bank of 127 questions across 16 categories.
Probing into AI risk, vendor trust, shifting budget priorities, all the heavy hitters.
But 127 questions sounds like a lot for someone just waiting for a drink.
I mean, the delivery mechanism is what makes it manageable. FieldIQ utilizes an adaptive AI engine.
Okay.
It initiates the interaction with low-friction, rapid-fire, true or false questions.
Oh.
Based on the aggregate room response, the AI dynamically routes players toward deeper multiple-choice explorations or open-ended war story prompts.
Oh, so it shifts based on what people are saying.
Exactly. The sequence is entirely fluid. No two executives in the room will navigate the exact same sequence of questions.
See, I am playing the skeptic again here.
Go for it.
You can put all the slick tablets on the table you want. A CSO is not going to type a candid war story about a catastrophic vendor failure or their internal feels about shadow AI if they think that data is going to trigger an automated sales sequence the following morning.
No, of course not.
The barrier to honesty in this industry is massive.
And the designers understood that inherent paranoia.
Yeah.
That is why Felt IQ is engineered on a Cloudflare D1 zero PII architecture.
Yeah.
The mandate is literally anonymization at the point of write.
Okay, let's break down how that actually functions, because every single vendor claims their data is anonymous.
They do, yeah.
What makes anonymization at the point of write different from just a standard privacy policy?
Well, a standard privacy policy means the vendor collects your metadata, your IP address, your device ID, your name, and simply promises to hide it in their database.
They say, trust us.
Exactly, trust us. The Cloudflare D1 architecture physically prevents that collection at the edge server.
Oh, wow.
The moment a CISO taps the screen, the system strips all identifiable context before the data payload ever reaches the central database.
So it's gone before it even lands.
Yes. It is technologically impossible to reverse engineer who submitted which answer. The data is entirely untethered from identity.
It functions like a digital Dropbox where the envelope evaporates the second it goes through the slot.
That's a perfect analogy.
And that level of cryptographic guarantee is honestly the only way an executive is going to admit their security stack failed them in production.
Absolutely. And with that trust established, the processing happens live.
Live.
Yeah, an Anthropic Claude AI backend qualitatively codes those raw, open-ended responses as they arrive.
That is wild.
It surfaces emergent themes on an organizer dashboard in real time. Before the final hand of poker is even dealt, the organizers possess a definitive, instinct-level map of what the industry is currently prioritizing.
And the critical detail is the ultimate destination of that map, because they do not lock this intelligence behind a paywall.
Yep.
Post-event, this data becomes an open data set published under a Creative Commons CC BY 4.0 license.
It becomes a permanent resource for academics, analysts, and the broader industry.
Which is huge. The architecture behind this is fascinating, and if you want to see the technical schematics for this next-generation platform, they're detailed over at CISO.POKER.
Because publishing the dataset transforms the poker tournament from a localized networking exercise into a durable research operation.
All right.
The sponsors who facilitated the event receive permanent attribution on an open-source dataset that will be cited long after the tournament concludes.
So FeltIQ is generating this massive open-source dataset funded entirely by the event structure.
Yes.
But that raises a broader question about where the rest of the capital in this ecosystem is flowing. The documents explicitly state this initiative isn't solely about enriching the players or generating sponsor presence.
Far from it.
CyberAdX Network has hardwired a coalition giving model directly into the financial bedrock of the event.
And the financial commitment is structurally baked in. A baseline of 5% of all CyberAdX sponsor contributions is automatically routed to a coalition of 4 nonprofits.
And these are 501c3 organizations.
Correct. And the selected organizations are not arbitrary. They directly support the foundational elements of the industry represented in that ream.
Okay, let's look at the actual mechanisms of those 4 organizations, starting with the workforce. First up is YCCS, Women in Cybersecurity.
Right. They focus on the structural talent deficit.
Yeah. They are actively recruiting, retaining, and advancing women in the field through scholarships and direct mentorship pipelines.
And then moving from the human element to the technical infrastructure. The second recipient is the Shadow Server Foundation.
They are incredible.
They really are. They operate a massive sinkhole network providing free global threat intelligence.
So when a massive vulnerability like Log4j hits,
Shadow Server is the entity mapping the compromised servers across the globe. They deliver daily remediation reports to over 9,000 network owners across 175 countries.
So if a security operations center receives an alert about a compromised host, Shadow Server likely generated the data.
Almost certainly.
The third organization operates on a similar scale of invisible infrastructure, and that's the Internet Security Research Group, or ISRG.
Yes, the nonprofit behind Let's Encrypt.
Which changed everything.
It fundamentally altered the economics of Internet security. Historically, securing a website with a TLS certificate cost significant time and money.
It was a huge barrier.
But Let's Encrypt automated that process and made it entirely free. They now operate the certificate authority securing over 1 billion websites.
1 billion? That's just staggering.
And nearly every executive sitting at those poker tables relies on Let's Encrypt somewhere within their production environment.
It is the scaffolding of the modern web. And then the final organization rounds out the coalition by focusing on the future. The Information Security Leadership Foundation, or ISLF.
Right. They are dedicated to identifying underrepresented students and providing the grants and mentorship necessary to develop the next generation of chief information security officers.
So what does this all mean? The blueprints emphasize a specific philosophy regarding this coalition. They state, this isn't a charity, it's a discipline.
I love that quote.
To maintain absolute transparency, CyberAdX never processes the charitable funds from the broader community directly.
Right. There is no middleman taking a processing fee.
None. If an attendee or anyone following the event decides to contribute, the capital flows directly from their card to the nonprofit's own payment processor.
And that mandated 5% from the sponsor contributions is simply the floor. It's just the starting point.
Exactly. The overarching objective is to leverage the intense awareness generated by Hacker Summer Camp to drive direct, sustained traffic to these 4 pillars of the community.
And you can examine the structure of this coalition or support these organizations directly yourself by visiting CISO.POKER.
It represents a highly sophisticated reallocation of capital, honestly.
It really does. They are capturing the corporate marketing budgets traditionally incinerated on disposable convention floors swag.
Those terrible fleece vests.
Exactly, and redirecting those funds into the critical infrastructure of the profession itself.
Yeah, they are financing the future workforce, the threat intelligence networks, and the digital safety nets the global economy depends upon.
It's turning a networking event into a community engine.
We started this deep dive exploring the exhausting, industrialized handshake of the traditional vendor floor.
Which we've all suffered through.
Oh, many times.
Yeah.
And we are looking at a blueprint that replaces that friction with a zero buy-in poker tournament where absolutely no money exchanges hands.
Just cards and conversation.
Right. Executives compete for donated corporate enterprise stacks and knockout bounties. The natural downtime of the game fuels Felt IQ, an edge compute intelligence engine that open sources the true pulse of the industry.
While keeping everything entirely anonymous.
Exactly. And the entire underlying mechanism automatically funds the nonprofits, keeping the internet functional.
The blueprint for August 5th, 2026, on the Las Vegas Strip, is designed as a proving ground. It demonstrates that authentic professional connection requires an environment where human behavior, rather than transactional metrics, dictates the flow of the room.
If you want to explore the sponsor integration, head to CISO.POKER. To review the zero PII mechanics, visit CISO.POKER. And to understand the financial redirection of the coalition, check out CISO.POKER.
All 3 hubs have everything you need to see how this works under the hood.
It really leaves us with a compelling question to consider. We just saw how the structure of Texas Hold'em can successfully strip away the corporate veneer and bypass the fatigue of the convention center.
Yeah.
Look at your own industry. Look at the stale, highly formalized business rituals you navigate every single year.
The ones we just accept as normal.
Exactly. What other exhausting networking traditions are sitting there right now, completely ripe for a gamified structural overhaul?